Listen, you smell something?
Human emotions are materializing in the form of a viscous psychoreactive plasm with explosive supernormal potential.
What a discovery, a psychoreactive substance.
Do you know what this equipment is used for?
Boggle or Super Mario Brothers?
We'll have fun!
Yeah! They're still doing it. Really quite good work there.
My friend, don't be a jerk.
We've got no choice. Call the Ghostbusters.
Super Jackpot!
Welcome to Extraplasm Podcast. It's the only podcast on the internet that thinks there should be a Santa Claus analog for Ghostbusters Day who leaves ghost traps under floorboards of homes. And for good kids, they get traps full of awesome Ghostbusters toys and collectibles. And for bad kids, they just get haunted. I'm your host, Jim Maritato, aka Vic Maniac on the internet, and I'm excited to be back with you for another episode of the show as we are continuing to count down to the 40th anniversary of Ghostbusters. And this week, we're doing that by visiting with our friends Dan Liberg and Christopher Burns of the Buffalo Ghostbusters. The Buffalo Ghostbusters, as you may recall, are chiefly responsible for coordinating the amazing fan-led Ghostbusters Day event at Hook and Ladder 8 in New York City each year, alongside other franchises and community members like the NYC Ghostbusters, Ecto-1NJ, and many more. And this year, they have gone all out for the 40th anniversary of the first Ghostbusters film and have more in store and more on tap than ever before. So this week, we're checking in to find out what will Ghostbusters Day be like in New York City, and what should you expect if you come out to join us for that event? And by us, yes, that does mean that I'm still anticipating being at the Firehouse on June 8th, given my plans to head home and see family. So we'll find out what's going to be happening at good old Ghostbusters HQ in a few minutes. But before we need to talk about this week's Ghostbusters headlines.
Still making headlines all across the country, the Ghostbusters are at it again.
Today, the entire eastern seaboard is alive with talk of incidents of paranormal activity.
Call-in topic today, ghosts and ghost busting.
Extraplasm, read all about it. Ghostbusters headlines coming at ya.
In Ghostbusters media news, and specifically Ghostbusters Frozen Empire news, the film continues to sort of elude the $200 million box office take as it's winding down its box office releases and its theatrical releases. Obviously we've talked about in the last few episodes that the digital release of the movie is now available and the film is starting to leave theaters. In fact, it is currently being shown on less than 900 screens domestically in the US, and on its last weekend, it was earning $199 million total at box office, so it is still about $1 million shy of hitting the $200 million mark. Could that still happen? Maybe, but it's probably going to be a challenge. The reality is that Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, as of May 17th, was showing on 819 screens domestically. Previously, the prior weekend, it was on 1,418 screens, so it's lost about 600 screens as we are moving from like week 8 to week 9 of release. So the movie's been out at this point for over 2 months. And it's not surprising that, you're going to see it start to leave theaters as it comes on digital. Could it potentially still rack in $1 million? Maybe, but I think that's probably a challenge given other things that are currently out and that have been released since and that are continuing to perform well. New things that have been released, etc. So we can keep our fingers crossed, but it's probably time to consider that, it's real likely we may not hit that $200 million threshold. That being said, the film has earned $199 million so far and likely will, earn a little bit more before it comes out of theaters. And it's performing very well on digital, and we'll see how it's going to do on Blu-ray and DVD as it releases towards the end of next month. So, don't be sad. Don't feel bad. If the movie doesn't hit 200 million, it doesn't mean anything in terms of whether they make another one. This movie is very likely doing quite well in terms of profit if the rumors that it cost $100 million to make are true, because then the box office take appears to be just about double that before we get into any of the merchandising money or the home video releases or anything else. But it is interesting to consider that there are currently less than 900 screens and really just about 800 screens currently showing the film. So if you are looking to get your last crack of big screen Ghostbusters Frozen Empire in, you probably need to act this week because it's really likely that the film is going to become real scarce real soon. We'll get out of this next week. It's pretty likely as we get through Memorial Day and start to get into the actual heat of summer that we're going to see some of our summer blockbusters come out, and we're going to watch Ghostbusters Frozen Empire sort of leave theaters. So if you have not made it to the theater to go see this somehow and you're listening to this podcast, that would be shocking. You should definitely go. But if you're just somebody who wants to go and make sure you get one more crack in before this thing leaves theaters and you have to then try and find it on a big screen 10 years from now or something as a Fathom release, then go see it. You've probably got one more time to go check it out at a theater near you before it completely disappears and goes away. Beyond that, we can also say that Ghostbusters Frozen Empire's digital release has continued to provide a bunch of marketing opportunities and little segments and interviews with folks. And this week we got to hear a little bit from McKenna Grace as she spoke with Cinema Blend. In talking with them, she has revealed the character who she had hoped to work with but didn't get to, and that character was Slimer. She told Cinema Blend, and I quote, "I wanted to work with Slimer so bad, I just wanted a scene with Slimer. Whenever I first read the script and I saw that Slimer was in it, I was like, no way. And then I was like 50 pages in and I was like, oh, there's Slimer again. And then I was like 80 pages in and I was like, where's me and Slimer in the same scene? I wanted to work with Slimer so bad. It was so funny." She continued to then say, I love that I got to meet like a little mini puffed Marshmallow Man this go around. That was very fun because, I always wanted to work with the little Stay Puffs or the big Stay Puffed because obviously I'm a big fan of the original franchise and all the original Ghosts. So like any of the original Ghosts, I just wanted to work with them. But I really wanted to work with Slimer. If we do a third one, please, Ghostbusters. So I'm going to say this on the record right now. Like, let's give McKenna Grace another movie so that she can work with Kevin Mangold and they can have scenes together. I'm totally for this. I want McKenna Grace to interact with Slimer. I want Phoebe to interact with Slimer. I think this is a fantastic idea. And I absolutely co-sign on this. Let's make it happen. Let's get a movie. Even if the only thing that happens in the movie is just like, I don't know, Phoebe and Slimer play chess. I'll watch that. Why not? It will be kind of interesting. We'll see if he gets to eat the pieces at the end of the game. But I think this is so funny that, we're now almost 2 months out from release. She's still doing marketing and she's kind of now talking about the idea that she didn't get to kind of hang out with the one ghost she wanted to the most. And I also think it's highly amusing that McKenna Grace talks about working with these ghosts as if the ghosts themselves, rather than the actors, the performers inside them, are the people she's working with, which I just find like, I don't know, for some reason I find it adorable, but it's really kind of funny. I love these little comments, and I really do hope that McKenna Grace gets an opportunity to have a one-on-one with Slimer at some point, because the more Slimer we can get in Ghostbusters, the better. And it's very clear that at the end of the last movie, he is out and about with everybody else because everyone's escaped the containment unit again, which leaves us so many opportunities to revisit some of those ghosts from the original movie. That I do hope that she gets an opportunity to interact with them, maybe with other ghosts from the original movies, but also specifically Slimer, because I think it would be a lot of fun. Beyond the interview that McKenna Grace had with Cinema Blend, James Acaster also has a behind the scenes featurette out that was put out by the magazine Film Inc. You can check this out. It's called Ghostbusters Access All Areas with James Acaster. It is out on YouTube on the Film Inc. YouTube channel. You can also go to Ghostbusters News to get it because, of course, Jason has done an amazing job of breaking it down and leaving you links and embeds to get to it. This is a pretty fun, about 5 to 6 minute featurette where James Acaster is out of character and going through the Paranormal Research Center and explaining all the things in it, what they all do, etc. The one thing that I am very confused on about this featurette is that at one point he goes up to a tank that is full of lots and lots of hay. And he says, this exhibit is currently empty, but we'll be getting a donkey. And then they bring in a tiny donkey and put it inside this exhibit. What was this supposed to be? This was not in the movie. We didn't see a donkey in the movie. We didn't see a tank full of hay. Why was there a donkey? Was it supposed to be in the movie, or did they just have like, I don't know, a series of, donkeys and goats to pet on set for stress relief? I have no idea. Was this like Jurassic Park? Was the donkey inside this tank because it's food for something else? I have no idea. I have a million questions about this and I want answers to them. But if you want to see what I'm talking about, go and watch this featurette, Ghostbusters Access All Areas with James Acaster. Again, you can go find it over on the Film Inc. YouTube channel, or you can find it via Ghostbusters News, where Jason's done a great job of linking it. And if you have answers to this question, somebody's going to. Someone out there is going to send me an email. It's like, dude, are you dumb? How did you miss this? There's goats. I believe that somehow I'm going to find out that I missed goats and all the times I saw the movie. But if you have any ideas about this, would love to hear them. I'm really kind of surprised that to see this in the featurette, and it's kind of shocking, to be honest. Outside of direct coverage of things from Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, it's worth mentioning that Ernie Hudson has been tapped by his hometown to have a street named after him. Apparently, Benson Harbor, Michigan will be honoring him by naming a portion of Vineyard Avenue Ernie Hudson Way, which is kind of awesome. I think this is kind of also awesome because on the Sony lot, there's an Ivan Reitman Way. So within now Michigan, there will be an Ernie Hudson Way. Maybe we can get a Dan Aykroyd Way or a Ray Stantz Way, a Harold Ramis Way somewhere like in Illinois. That would be awesome. We just get streets everywhere named after everybody who was ever in Ghostbusters. I'd be for it. But this is kind of neat. You know, it's kind of cool to see him have his moment in the sun. He's obviously a very successful actor, but Ghostbusters is one of those things that he's had an up and down relationship with, and to sort of see him celebrating and being excited about this, and this Ghostbusters news article about this, and sort of seeing him recently talking and interacting with Detroit Ghostbusters and ABC 7's Brad Gailey in an interview that's linked in the Ghostbusters news article. It exemplifies to you so much like how this, even though he's had ups and downs with this franchise, he's really here for fans and also here for, the communities. And I think it's fantastic they're going to name a street after him. It's also awesome that he's been asked to give a commencement speech at a high school. And they have talked about his great work working with the Boys and Girls Club there in Greater Southwest Michigan, having screenings for them of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire and stuff. And so like he's continuing not just to benefit by receiving a street name, but he's actually still contributing to his old hometown and will next month be giving a speech for high school graduates. So I continue to be completely amazed by the sort of positivity and vitality that Ernie Hudson brings to Ghostbusters, despite his sort of ups and downs history with it. And we're so lucky to have him now at this point, not just as somebody who is an amazing performer and who is playing an important role on screen, but also is playing an important role as an ambassador for the fandom and for, communities in general. He's generally a good person, and it's exciting to see him get some recognition, within his hometown for all the things he's contributed to his community and for all the success that he's been able to carry out since growing out of there and moving into the world. So hats off to Ernie Hudson, and I hope that he gives a great commencement speech. If anybody lives in Michigan and happens to get that speech on video, I would love to hear it, not just because I have a podcast, but also because I teach public speaking. So hearing examples of speeches and using them in my class is always fun. And if I can ever find another reason to squeeze Ghostbusters into my curriculum, I'm all for it. Outside of Ghostbusters media news, we need to talk about some Ghostbusters merchandise news. And we're going to talk about something a little bit Ghostbusters merch adjacent to begin with. And that's that this year's licensing expo is taking place in Las Vegas right now as we speak. And there is a booth representing Ghostbusters out at Licensing Expo, where I believe Eric Reich is currently in attendance. If you check out Ghostbusters news, you can see video of the booth and the interactive feature that they have. Much like last year's Licensing Expo booth, they have an interactive Neutrona wand set up where you can use the wand to blast bricks and a Ghostbusters logo off a screen to reveal ghosts behind it. And at the same time, there's sort of Neutrona wand or Neutrona beams, proton streams that are projected on the screen in front of you and are motion tracked by the Neutrona wand. This year, they've taken the sort of modified Neutrona wand that they're using for this, which does appear to be a HasLab modified wand, and they have, or rather Spengler wand, and they've hooked it up to a HasLab pack, which is not particularly on. It's in an inert state, but it's something you can wear at the same time as you sort of shoot bricks off the screen in front of you. So this is pretty neat. I'll be honest, I'm more excited about Licensing Expo, not because of this interactive feature, but because if Licensing Expo is happening and Ghostbusters is at Licensing Expo, it means that we will probably have more merch news to talk about relatively soon, because, at Licensing Expo is where the deals are worked out so that different manufacturers and brands can partner up with the IP and get access to it to produce cool stuff that we all like and collect. So stay tuned. Maybe we'll find out some more information this week. Maybe there'll be more reveals from Licensing Expo or previews or teases of things that are to come. It is the 40th anniversary, and one would hope that there's some energy around that in terms of merchandise production, but we are, yet to see. But stay tuned, keep it, locked into Extraplasm, and of course to Ghostbusters news, because if anything happens between now and the next episode, I'm 100% sure that Jason will cover it. And you can also head over to Ghostbusters news if you want to see the footage of the booth in action and sort of see people using the Neutrona wand setup and blasting away bricks and revealing this year's ghost, Slimer. The other thing I want to talk about for a few moments that kind of blew my mind and is a merchandise item is that apparently there's been a new piece of Ghostbusters merchandise found at AMC, which kind of surprises me given that the movie is starting to trickle out of theaters, that you're seeing new merch at the theaters themselves. But a Stay Puft Bluetooth plush speaker from a company called Bitty Boomers has been found at a Hudson Valley AMC and was apparently passed along to Ghostbusters news by the Hudson Valley Ghostbusters and was priced at $21. This is a plush Stay Puft with a Bluetooth speaker embedded in it that has a USB port to recharge the battery inside of it. There is no good reason for me to have this other than the fact that I kind of want it just so I can play the podcast out of it, because I kind of want to know what it's like to have an effigy of Mr. Stay Puft say the podcast. Does that make sense? I mean, it doesn't move, like the mouth doesn't move back and forth. It's not Teddy Ruxpin. It's entirely a plush doll with a speaker jammed in it. But I want it for no other reason, just for that stupid ass reason alone. Just because I want to be able to play the podcast out of it at least once and point and laugh. I have checked the Bitty Boomers website and tried to find if this is available via their website along with the rest of their product line. Currently, it is not. So will we see this outside of an AMC? Unknown. Kind of unclear right now. This was kind of a surprise and I didn't expect to see it at all. But check out bittyboomers.com if you want to see if that, which by the way sounds like a really dirty thing, like Bitty Boomers, but I digress. But if you could check out bittyboomers.com if you want to see if this might potentially pop up. And if nothing else, stop by your local AMC and check out the merchandise in the concession stand, rather, not the concession session, which would be a really different thing. And, for $21, you might be able to make this yours. If you happen to run across it and see it, I would like to know, like, where are folks running into this? Because I have yet to see one here in California. And I'm wondering if they were kind of regional or whatever. But stay tuned. If we find out more, I'll let you know about it. In additional merchandise news, there is a new Nintendo Switch case that is Slimered, if you want to say slimed. It's a Slimer-themed Nintendo Switch case that has a gel inside of it that makes it look like it's got slime to it, and it looks like it has some sort of glitter accents to it, and has an image of Slimer on it, and it says, "He slimed me." And that about covers what it is. You can get this from Numbskull Designs, and you can take a look at images of it over on Ghostbusters News. It's currently available for pre-order, and the price on that is going to be $22.49. But if you're checking out and you use the promo code Ghostbusters News 11JG, you can save 11% on your order, which is a weird percentage amount to save. But I mean, it's more than 10, so why not? So if you want to take a look at that, you can go over to Ghostbusters News and check out the Numbskull Designs Nintendo Switch case now available. This is something I probably won't be getting purely because I don't own a Nintendo Switch, so buying that would be largely useless for me. But if you own one, it's probably pretty cool for you. We have an update on some HalloweenCostumes.com items this week. It turns out that the slime-covered glow-in-the-dark Ghostbusters flight suits and costumes are going to be available in kids and adult sizes. Previously, it wasn't clear if these would come out in kids sizes, but they have now been listed as such. These are not yet available, but you can go over and take a look at the HalloweenCostumes.com website. You can easily access this again from Ghostbusters News, where Jason has links to each of these based off of their sizes, etc. So if you want to take a look at this, these are essentially costume quality flight suits with slime accents that glow in the dark that come with, I believe, an inflatable proton pack that we've seen a number of times before. So what's really new here is the suits rather than the proton packs themselves. An additional update from HalloweenCostumes.com is the confirmation that their more deluxe, authentic Ghostbusters costume will have a plus size option that's been added alongside the standard but they've also confirmed that there will be no electronic functionality in this particular costume's proton pack. So while it is an authentic proton pack with what appears to be close to a full-size proton pack shell, and a neutrona wand, it will have no light up functionality at all. So that's kind of disappointing, but to be real, it's $199.99 for the khaki jumpsuit, the proton pack, and these are not just, like the off the rack at Target suits, but rather suits with working zippers and pockets and everything. They're not quite screen accurate, to be fair, but they try to make a good effort at this. So this is something you can take a look at if you are interested in picking up a cosplay outfit with a proton pack, or somebody in your life who would be interested in that. Personally, do I think that this replaces a flight suit that you can get on Amazon and some patches and even a spirit pack? Not really. I think that I would still opt for that from my standpoint, but that's me. Given what I already know I own, I don't see a reason why I would grab this. But if you wanted to get it all in one for less than $200, this might be a good option for you as a starter pack to sort of get you set up to begin your cosplay journey as a Ghostbuster. So it's not available yet, but you can go and check it out now for pre-order, and you can hit Ghostbusters News for the links on that, or you can just go over to HalloweenCostumes.com and type in Ghostbusters authentic costume and see what pops up. One other thing we should talk about for a moment is some fan-made merchandise. And I want to let you know about a slate of awesome things that are going on over at TCU Collectibles. TCU, also known as the Containment Unit, in case you've forgotten, is, of course, Tom Henry and Matt Sanders, who have both been on the show a number of times and are both awesome people. And they coordinate autograph signings with folks who have been involved in Ghostbusters to get private signings done for people. They have a slate of stuff coming up in June, all of which is going to be due on June 21st. You've already heard me tell you about how there's an opportunity to get a thing signed from William Atherton, as well as from Stuart Ziff last week, as I pointed those things out to you. Now you've also got additional opportunities that for the first time ever, you can get things signed by Kevin Mangold. And if you are not sure who that is, then you clearly have not been listening to Extraplasm, because Kevin Mangold is the performer who played Slimer in Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, and who's also a phenomenal and generally nice person who has been super kind to this podcast, to me, and given us a lot of time and interaction, and who's been engaging fans like crazy on social media. Kevin's a super nice person and super awesome, and you can get autographs of him with a variety of different 8x10s, even 11x14s and 12x18s for projects that you can do if you wanted to have other people sign on it, so you can do Slimer projects. His autograph pricing is going to be $50. Personalization and character names are included in that $50, which is totally awesome. Usually that's an additional fee. Photo printing is available in 8x10, 11x14, or 12x18s, and ray gun cards are available as well from TCU for that. So if you like to collect things in trading card format, you can. And I'll just say this, if you want to see some of what it looks like when Kevin signs something, go to the Extraplasm social media, or even go over to the Containment Unit social media posts on this, where I posted the things Kevin signed for me. He puts effort into this and cares about what he's doing, and I think it's great. And he's somebody we're very lucky to have sort of join the Ghostbusters family, if you will, or the sort of fan family. And I'm so excited that he's going to be doing a signing, and everybody who I know should go and get Kevin's autograph, because he's Slimer. It's awesome. Also, we've now got the opportunity to do a second signing from TCU with Hank Mayo, who you may recall is the artist who helped design Slimer from Ghostbusters 2, Vigo, the Scoleri brothers, the Terror Tub, the Theater Ghost, the Haunted Mink coat, so many different things. And he's also worked on Dune, Jumanji, Men in Black, The Mummy, so a whole bunch of different stuff as he's worked on as an artist and as a creator. He's got signings that are happening on any item for $35 with TCU, and you can get photos from him for $5 to $8. His photos, to be clear, are not really photos as much as they are art prints of things that he's drawn. So these are sketches and concept art of the Scoleri brothers, of Slimer, of the Terror Tub, etc. There's 20 different images there that you can take a look at. So, I want to point this out. If you're going to take a look at the TCU collectible stuff, there's all kinds of images for each of these signings that you can sort of choose between. So if you ever wanted to have like concept art of the haunted coat that was signed by the artist, that's a thing you can get, which is kind of awesome for the low price of $35, which is kind of rad. So totally cool, totally neat. Hank Mayo is definitely somebody who you should get stuff signed from. Another person who you can sort of access and get autographs from via TCU right now is Bill Bryan. Billy Bryan, of course, is the performer who played Stay Puft in the original Ghostbusters movie. He is the person inside the suit. He's the person who built the costume. He did a ton of work on that movie. And of course, he's been involved in Ghostbusters in other ways. He worked on Slimer, the Librarian Ghost, the Possessed Bag, and the Hell's Kitchen Sewer Dragon for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. And he's also worked on a variety of other things. He worked on the Star Wars Boba Fett series, building out the insides of the Sarlacc pit. He's been known to create earthworm costumes for celebrities in Hollywood. I mean, so many things that Bill Bryan has done in his career. You can get autographs from him for $55, personalization and character names included on that. And again, you can get 8x10s, 11x14s, 12x18s, etc. That all gets added alongside the stuff I've already told you about from Stuart Ziff and from William Atherton. So you have tons of opportunities here to get signings done right now with the containment unit. Do not wait on this. Like this is an opportunity where they are coming out to LA to interact with all these signers at the end of June. You're not going to have an opportunity to get all these things done at once. And for some of these pieces to get signed by multiple people in the same way, probably for a while, I mean, that's something to consider, that it's not like Matt and Tom are out here every weekend with the opportunity to talk to the folks who are in these movies or who've worked on this stuff. And so if these are any of these folks, if any of these performers, any of these behind the scenes folks or people you're interested in, head over to the containment unit, to the Facebook group, the containment unit. We collect spores, molds, and Ghostbusters autographs to check these out, or go over to TCU Collectibles is the other way to get there. And one thing to be aware of is you do want to take note of who you need to email for each of these. Matt and Tom have divided the labor on this. And so for some of these, you're going to be emailing ghostbustersautograph@gmail.com. For the others, you're going to be emailing slimedsignatures@gmail.com. Make sure you're taking a look at the posts to figure out which email address you should be contacting for which signer, so that you can help Matt and Tom organize things and get things together easily. So when they meet with these folks in June, everything can go smoothly, positively, and all those signers want to spend the time doing it, because the more positively it goes for them, the more likely it is they'll do it again, which, is good for everybody. Okay. One final thing I want to talk about in terms of Ghostbusters fan media and merch. It's not so much merch as much as it is a video game, and something I thought was kind of fun. There is a Commodore 64 original game. It is a fan-made video game that Ghostbusters News reported on the 16th that is apparently by Dave Izon and has music by Roland Hermans. And is essentially, what would it have been like if they had a retro video game that wasn't the one that came out on the Commodore? Essentially, what if you had an adventure game, that was sort of along the lines of a Sierra game, something along the lines of a King's Quest or something like that had like, individual rooms you'd move through as an adventure game with text on the screen. It's not quite finished, but there are some really cool things in this, including parts of the Sedgwick Hotel. There's parts of the Gozerian Temple. It's a game work in progress, but it's kind of fun to go take a look at. And it's kind of my suggestion this week of something cool and interesting to go interact with, that's low key. You can look at on your lunch and you can kind of appreciate, because it's a fan artist who's out there doing something in our community that's totally new and original, and also totally scratches the retro nostalgic itch. It's really cool. I hope it gets finished, because I really want to play the whole thing, even though I don't have a Commodore 64. And one important thing to know is, even if you don't, you can just go use an emulator. You can go download the ROM for this and like load it up in RetroArch and screw around with it. And it's a lot of fun. Okay, so that about covers our headlines for this week. So let's go now to my conversation with Dan Liberg and Christopher Burns as we find out a bit about what the Buffalo Ghostbusters and the Ghostbusters fan community in general are going to be up to in New York City on Ghostbusters Day. Joining me on Extraplasm Podcast, we're turning back to the podcast for yet another rousing discussion about the most important event that happens every single year in the world of Ghostbusters and what they're doing in New York City. Chris Burns and Dan Liberg of the Buffalo Ghostbusters are joining us. Gentlemen, thank you for coming on the podcast. Let's go one by one. Dan, how are you doing?
Well, first of all, that was a hell of a lead in. Doing all right. Lots of, still, believe it or not, with we're just under 3 weeks to go. Lots of announcements and stuff still to come. So I'm busy working on all that, but it's, we're barreling towards it, man. It's exciting. We're almost there.
And Chris, aka Burnsy, how are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. My head is still spinning from all the daily announcements we've been making. For anybody who hasn't caught up on them, around noon Eastern each day, we've got a new announcement for Ghostbusters Day. And every single day, it's absolutely blowing my mind what Dan mainly has been able to put together for a wonderful upcoming Ghostbusters Day.
It is really impressive. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm always impressed. Like, Dan, you and I have had a long history about this event because, of course, I always have to give the mea culpa of the time you said you were going to get money for a sign. And I was like, who the fuck needs to donate a sign in the firehouse? And then it turned out to be like the most successful charity event ever. And I get to forever have egg on my face and be wrong about everything. And then be like, I was totally incorrect and you are right and awesome. And I bow to you, sir. But like, this year is like crazy in terms of the amount of stuff that you've announced, like for real. Like I have to say, as much as like Chris, you just said at noon every day. It's like, yeah, no, at noon every day. I'm like, you're doing what now? Like you have what? You have how many Ectos? Wait, they're all Cadillacs? How is that even possible? You're auctioning off what? Like you have so much going on for the 40th anniversary that like it is 100% impressive, and I want to talk with you about it. Like it's why you're here, obviously. Is like just I like you both. You're cool. I like to talk with you, and I'm excited to see you soon. But like I wanted to have you on because what you are currently doing with Ghostbusters Day. I mean, I always say every year when I talk to you about it that you blow my mind with what you're doing. But this year, I'm like, I can't believe how much you have going on and how big it is.
So this has like quite literally. People think I'm joking when I say this, but this has literally been a year-long process. And Burnsy gives me a lot of credit. I'll take the pat on the back there. I do a lot for this event. But yeah, I mean, I've been working on some of these things since literally last June. Gathering various donated items or autographs or signers, things like that. Because it's the 40th anniversary. I really wanted to do something just jaw-droppingly incredible this year because it feels like it deserves it. We had a new movie this year and we got the anniversary. So it just felt like this needed to be even bigger than we've done. And I mean, it's been a step up every year, but this one, I really wanted to just go crazy with it.
I was thinking about the fact that like we were all just at the firehouse, like, what, 8 weeks ago? Is that a fair count, right?
Yeah.
We were there like 2 months ago. And that was like, oh, it's mind blowing because look at how many people there are. And the firehouse is dressed up as, it's been frozen over. And there's an Ecto 1 parked outside. And the Ecto Z was there for a few hours. And there was a city bus that had Slimer on the side of it. Wow. And then like I was thinking about this before we started recording. And I was like, all of that is dwarfed. Like the premiere of the movie and the sort of like marketing tie-in that went on at Hook and Ladder 8 for the release of the movie, like is completely and utterly dwarfed by the amount of stuff that you have going on for Ghostbusters Day this year at the firehouse. Like, am I wrong? Is it 5 Cadillacs that you have coming out for this event? Is that right?
It's 5.
And like 4 of them are vintage Miller Meteors and one of them is Ryan's car, right? The NYC car
reboot. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
yeah, we got
like
4 59s, I believe.
This is like years ago. It would have been like, and this is not to put down anybody out there who drives one, because I know, Dan, you do, but like, this is different than like, we got 5 GMC Blazers.
Oh yeah.
We got a Ford Taurus and we got, it's like, this is not like, oh, you got your stickers. This is like 5 straight up replica cars, like that are,
yep.
And then I love the fact that like the coolest part about that is that you have like 5 replica cars that also represent like different phases of Ecto, right? It's like Ecto from the second movie, Ecto from the first movie, Ecto from Afterlife. Like it's nuts. You have more cars coming to the event, more actual Cadillacs coming to the event than Sony has in the fucking fleet.
Yep. And okay, on that one, I do have to give a shout out to Ecto 1NJ and Ecto Tech because they helped me because they're so connected with, all the people who own these replicas. they did help us to track people down who would bring their ectos out to the event. And, again, yeah, it was a way to level it up this year. We love the fan ectos. We love, like you said, I drive one. They're fun, and we will get back to having a contest and having people bring their ectos out. But this year it was like, hey, let's have all these legit, like, movie accurate, as best as they can be, but they all look pretty damn good. Let's have all of them out. And yeah, I can't wait to see, like, I have it in my mind of how we're going to park everything and all of that for the day of, but I can't wait to actually see those cars all parked right in front on North Moore Street.
I was thinking about my ride in the Ecto 1NJ this week.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking about, like, what would happen if you took all 5 of those cars and you put them all, like, in a parade formation and you just drove them through the city full of people,
right,
in flight suits. Like, the city would melt down. Like,
yes.
Like, if you want to talk about the number of people who, like, stop working on construction sites, or cops who give peace signs, like happened when I rode in the Ecto 1NJ, now you multiply that by 5 times, and everybody is going to be like, what the fuck's going on? Like, what is this?
They wouldn't have to obey red lights. They could do whatever they wanted.
If you see 5 ectos, there's a real big problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, if you see 5 ectos, there's got to be some questions you start asking, like, is there something wrong in Staten Island? Did we lose it? Did the Verrazano Bridge come to life and try to eat the island? Like, what happened? Yeah, dude.
You all thought Garaka and Gozer were bad. Now look what's coming.
It also would be weird. Like, I've said for years, like, it's totally unreasonable if the Ghostbusters would ever have a fleet of 59 Cadillacs. Like, where would they even get those? And, like, Buffalo, they would assemble the
Don't worry,
the
we got
inventory.
it.
Yeah. They're like, well, we can find those. It's fine. We can build 5 of those. And yeah, I mean, it's that to me, like, it's, and that's like scratching the surface of what you all have going on. But to me, like, that was the thing where it was like, one day it was like Ecto 1NJ. The next day it was like Ecto Ohio. And the next day it was like the NYC Ecto. And I was like, you literally are going to just do nothing but caddies this year. That's crazy.
Yep.
There's more rare glass attending that firehouse event in one place all at once than there ever could be. Like, I don't know who the insurance underwriter is for all those vehicles, but whoever it is, like,
that's not my problem.
No, it's not. It's each individual car owner's problem, right?
Yep.
But I'm so excited that I'm going to get to come out there and actually experience it this year. Like, because in the years past when we've had this conversation, I'm always like, I'll be on the West Coast hoping, waiting, maybe someone will announce something. Maybe there'll be a thing that happens here. And like one year there was Ectofest and that was cool. But like, I have never been out there for this event. And so I'm excited that I'm going to be around because I get to experience it firsthand and hang out with you all. But it also just seems like it's going to be the biggest thing you've ever done. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is. And it's overwhelming at times, thinking about pulling this off, but we're going to do it. It's going to be fine. I'm going to keep telling myself that every day.
I don't think we're going to top this year. So I don't know it's possible to top this year.
I mean, I've said that basically every year, and then we somehow manage to do it. But this year, holy shit.
I think we're going to run out of physical space.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you're going to have to go vertical. That's the answer, is you have to start just going vertical. You start stacking ectos. Like, let's be frank. Like, some of my best photos of the firehouse came from that double-decker bus that had Slimer on the side of the park next to the firehouse. So now you just need to get a variety of double-decker buses, stack them around the site, leave enough space for the fire truck to come and go, obviously, as it may need to. But you can run exhibits on floor 2 of some double-decker buses. You know?
You want autographs with Joe Cirillo? Deck 2.
That's right. That's right. That's the way to go. You know, either that or just appropriate the big glass building across the street that they didn't replicate for the movie.
Yes. Yeah. Because that just doesn't exist for some reason.
Going vertical is one solution. Another way you could maximize the space would just be to go subterranean. There's a subway station nearby. Just take it over.
There's a subway station right across the street.
It's not always open, though. It's not open on weekends, I don't think. Not all of them. But I ended up finding that out. I ended up
the
taking a
pneumatic
train.
transits down below.
There you go.
No, that's what I mean. Take the whole subway station and re-theme it as a pneumatic transit station, right? Like the metro workers or like the MTA workers, they won't mind. They'll be totally fine with it.
Okay, see, I have a problem with this line of not questioning wherever we're going, because Jim, there are people who will listen to this, who will take this seriously, and then will bitch at me that we didn't do it.
No, nobody should really do that. But I will tell you that when we were in New York for the premiere, one of my favorite moments that happened was that we were getting in the subway, me and Jason Fitzsimmons and JD Raymer were getting on the subway near the public library. And when we came in, this guy who worked inside the booth came out as we were like buying Metro cards. And he was like, yo, you guys have Ghostbusters stuff on. Can I ask you a question? We're like, yeah. And he's like, yo, what is with the red jackets with the lights? And we were like, what? And the movie, of course, wasn't out yet because this is the day before the premiere. So we're like,
right.
What? And he goes, these guys all just came in here with these Ghostbusters jackets on. They all just got on a train a minute ago. They all had like these red jackets on, all these lights and the Ghostbusters logo. Like, what's with the red jackets and the lights? And I was like, oh, they're in the movie. They're in the trailer. They're in this. He's like, oh, all right, that makes sense. And he walked away from us and I looked at them and I was like, that's this subway station's Patty. Right? I was like, that's the MTA worker who saw something strange and was like, yo, Ghostbusters. I saw some other weird ghost-related stuff that went on a minute ago in my subway station. Do you know what's
this
up?
Weird sparking thing.
Yeah. So, like, you just need to go and talk to the workers downstairs the morning of. Be like, hi, we represent Ghostbusters. You may be familiar with us. I recognize that the MTA has had an ongoing relationship with the Ghostbusters for many years in paranormal investigation and access. You may be familiar with the pneumatic train system. If you're not, look it up. But like, yeah, don't really do this, anybody. Don't go to the train station outside Varick Street and go like slime it and do dumb things, please. But if you are riding the train there, that was one of the things I did learn on my trip was that the train doesn't stop downtown direction at Varick Street on all trains on weekends.
Yeah.
And you have to go past it and then turn around and come back up. So,
yep.
If you're coming from uptown, be careful. Well, of all the things you have going on, let's like hit on each of them because like we could just sit here to continue to be like, you have so much stuff and fail to talk about it. Be like, look at all this amazing pizza we have. Let's not discuss the ingredients. Let's just eat it and then be like, wow, that was great. But let's go through it. Like autographs and appearances. Who do you have coming out this year?
So kicking off the event is going to be a Philly-based band called the Mad Splatter. They have a fun song called Zombie versus Vampire. So they'll be playing that. And then Alessi is back, which is just awesome. Last year, they had such a good time that literally I'm sitting at the autograph table with them and they're signing stuff. And there was a brief lull. And they turned to me and they're like, Dan, pencil us in for next year. We're coming back. like they had such a fun time. And they're bringing the full band this time. It's not going to be just Billy and Bobby. They got drums and everything. So, again, level up the performances.
Yeah. I feel like if they record it, they'll have to put out another CD that's called
Yes, definitely.
Like, Saving the Day, all of the versions, and now also the live one too.
Even more versions. And then Joe Cirillo, because I mean he's just like ingrained as a part of this event now, and that's awesome. Like that dude is 94 years old and he's still coming out to this and meeting people. And he has a fun surprise plan for folks that show up this year. So I'll leave that one to be a surprise, but he's got something cool that he's cooked up that I think
is he parachuting in?
Yes, he's the 94-year-old is parachuting in.
No, he's going to be giving away free pencils. He's just going to be like, here's a pencil for you. And as he does, he's going to hand it and going, you're a pencil neck, and you're a pencil neck, and you're a pencil neck.
And then John Rothman as well will be joining us. And he was supposed to come out 2 years ago, but the morning of, he actually tested positive for COVID, so he wasn't able to attend.
Yeah. I remember that.
And then last year he was on the board for the SAG strike. So he was involved in negotiations and stuff, so he wasn't able to come out. He was out in LA dealing with negotiations and stuff like that. But he's excited to come out. We're excited to have him. And it's fun because not that he wasn't relevant, he's still part of the Ghostbusters franchise, but he was also just in Frozen Empire again. So we got that, and we got photos from Frozen Empire for him to sign. So
nice.
That'll be cool. So those are the guests and the autograph signers. Joe and John will be $30 each, and the Alessi brothers will be a $40 for the pair signature.
We should talk real quick. Like, of course, where all those funds go is the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, right?
Yes. So this year, the crew at Hook and Ladder 8 asked us to have the fundraiser be for the Tunnels to Towers Foundation, Tunnel to Towers Foundation, and it benefits victims and families of 9/11. So that's an incredible cause. And, I'm sure, it goes without saying that for so many of us, that was a huge part of our lives, that event. And so, again, it's just kind of extremely surreal that now Ghostbusters has led all of us in this way to now helping these families. And we've done some math. We're not going to say numbers, but we're expecting this year to be huge in terms of the fundraiser amount that we're going to bring in.
Yeah, I mean, and the reason I brought it up here is not because, like, we're going to talk about the rest of the stuff you have going on, but I sort of want to make sure people know, like, when you talk about, any money that's connected, any money that's collected from the event, nobody makes money on the event except for a charity partner, right? It's not like
correct, yeah.
Anybody who's involved in it. That's the craziest thing about it to me is like, look, there could be lots of different fan events and people like, hey, I'll come out, I'll have my Ecto, and also I'll be a hot dog vendor. Like, I don't know, like I'll come out and sell merchandise at like it's a con, but it's not. Like it is a festival where everybody comes and donates and gives so much of their time and their energy. All of this revenue ends up coming to help out firefighters, to help their families. Like last year, it was about trying to improve quality of life for the firefighters at Hook and Ladder 8 by helping them with a family van, right? This year, it's about trying to help the broader family of firefighters who have, persisted since 9/11 in trying to take care of folks who lost family members, who lost community members, and to help make sure that people still have an opportunity to thrive and, live lives to the best of the way, the best quality they can, et cetera. And so like everything you do with this is like, it still blows my mind. Came off of like,
it blows my mind.
Let's buy.
I'm just a
Absolutely.
Ghostbusters fan. I always go back to this. We just wanted to raise $1,000 for the Hollywood collectible
to buy
sign.
a stupid collectible sign. Like that was the whole reason. Like it's how it started, and it's like the fact that it has taken off into all this other stuff is so crazy to me, because when people talk about charity and Ghostbusters, we often talk about, all the things individual chapters do. When we all come together and people start contributing things to larger events, like the end result is something that outscales, like, and this is not to put anything down. Like, look, we don't know what's happening on the West Coast for Ghostbusters Day at this point. At the time we're recording this, nothing has been announced. But even if something is announced on the scale of like Ectofest, this is not to put down on the studio at all. Like I went to Ectofest. It was cool. There were some Ecto ones there that were used in the screen stuff. There was props. We watched a movie. We saw Jason Reitman and Gil Kennan talk about upcoming product. Logan Kim was there. Ernie Hudson was there. And then we left, like watched a movie, and then we went home. Like, and that's something that happens on the lot that gets put together by like a team of people who have resources and things. Like your event literally ends up being a bigger one than that. At this point, does that make sense? Like, and it's something that like came together as a fan effort. That's like, it really illustrates to me like the power of fandom. Not that I decided to sort of sidetrack from the other stuff we were talking about, but like every time we get into like thinking about the impact of the event, and you talk about how it's hopefully bigger than the years before, I just think about how much it's grown each year on the backs of how much people see what you're doing and go, oh my God, that's so cool. Like, I want to be a part of that. And I just, I don't know, like there's a dimension to me that I often think about, that fandom and fan franchises, you don't have to be doing a charity effort to appreciate and love the thing you want to, but like when you're doing something that makes you feel good at the same time and you improve other people's lives, like it's the fucking coolest thing. It's just the coolest
really
thing.
is.
Mm-hmm.
It just is. So like, yeah, I mean, not to sidetrack from your appearances, the autographs, I want to come back to all that, but like, I want to make sure everybody understands this. Like, every dollar, every stitch of effort, everything that you all do, yeah, it's a celebration of a fandom that a movie company owns as IP, but it's not what's important. Was the funniest part about it. It's actually all the impact that you all end up having as a result of us liking a thing. We all like a thing, and so we're doing a thing because we all like a thing together, and it benefits other people, and it's just the coolest fucking thing to me.
While we are talking charity, if anybody listening would like to donate while you're listening to this, please visit buffaloghostbusters.com. We'll have our link tree. On the Better World link, you'll have access to the auctions, raffles, and direct donations. Everything's going to Tunnel to Towers.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, and very good on you to like sneak that in there and be like, don't forget, you're motivated, Jim's excited, spend money now.
Yep. Well, I mean, we have so much stuff for people to spend money on that, you know, there, you can also just donate. That is an option.
Yes.
But yeah, there is so much cool stuff for people to bid on and to try to win in the raffles. And so, yeah, I mean, we kind of covered the ectos. I'm thinking in my head chronologically of the announcements. So we did the guests, we did the ectos. And yeah,
well,
so
who are the 5 ectos? Because we talked about a couple of them, right? So there's Ecto 1 and
so it's
J.
Ecto 1 and J, because they're just always with us because they're phenomenal.
They're required. They come with the firehouse now. It's like a play set.
Pretty much. There's the Northern Illinois Ecto 1A that's currently under construction, but we're very hopeful that it might make it. There's the Answer the Call Ecto, which is Ecto NYC of the New York City Ghostbusters. The Oklahoma Ghostbusters are bringing Ecto Afterlife. And then there's also Ecto Ohio. So those are the 5 ectos. We're thrilled to have all of them with us. That's going to be so freaking cool.
You have a whole bunch of different auctions that you've announced so far. And like one of them that is the coolest one, I think, I'll be honest, is like, I'm not sure if it has to be an airport pickup ride if you're not like coming on a plane, but Ecto 1NJ was like airport pickup ride for auction. And I was like, it would be kind of funny if you live like on Long Island. And it's like, well, it's an airport
and you would
pickup
just like
ride.
pick me up anyway.
Yeah, so you had to like take the subway, like or take the LIRR to the air train to JFK, and like that's the deal. The terms are non-negotiable. You must be picked up at an airport. But like, I don't think that's the deal. I imagine if you're not flying in, that Nick and Greg will negotiate with you about your pickup point.
Yeah, they'll figure it out, I'm sure.
But like, I mean, I've talked about this. That experience of riding in that car through New York City is absolutely freaking insanely unique and amazing, and something that like you can't easily replicate. And to me, the minute I saw it was one of the things a person could win in an auction, I was just like, yeah, no, you should totally do that. Like that's that is a thing to bid on for sure, because if you win that, you're going to have a life-changing memory with something that you will talk about every week for the next 2 months. And if you need proof of that, I am that walking proof.
Yep. And I've ridden in it as well twice. I got to ride in it out of the firehouse the one year.
Oh my god,
which was insane.
Were you there for the crazy turn that Greg took out of the bay and then got in trouble?
Yes. Yeah, I was in the back seat. And then I also got to ride into New York Comic Con this past year. They picked us up at our hotel and drove us in.
Nice.
So that was amazing. And yeah, so that was the first auction that we announced too. And it's such a cool one. Nick brought that idea up to me and I was just like, dude, absolutely. Like people will definitely bid on that. Like we can definitely do that if you're willing to do it. So yeah, he donated that. Then we have the Bob Gunton, Funkos, the Spengler Spirit Funko Pops that are signed by Bob Gunton. He was very nice to work with. That was super easy. Then, the 3D printed firehouse, the Ghostbusters gear firehouse. That one is going to be really cool.
That's a very cool thing, that Ghostbusters gear firehouse. And if people don't know what I'm talking about, this is the firehouse that Jason Fitzsimmons also 3D printed and did that series of videos where he showed how it was built that I talked about. Like for a while, I kept saying like, go watch the latest installment of Jason's video. And like, it's an amazing, like upscaled version of a Kenner firehouse. Like, to me, it's kind of like an idealized version of it for an adult collector who's like, yeah, I don't really need a fire pole that goes around on a blue thingy anymore and kind of swivels.
It is massive.
Yes.
My cousin printed that for us, and he's going to have to print another one because I'm keeping it because I can't figure out how to ship it. It's too big. I'm like, we have to do this in like layers and have some assembly. Like, we can't, I'm not finding a box that's 4 feet by 3 feet or whatever. Like,
yeah, you have to get a refrigerator box, basically. You have to go buy like a mini fridge from Costco and be like, well, I'm keeping the fridge, but I'm using the box.
But the fun thing, actually, though, so with that listing, we said it'll ship by Halloween because my cousin will print basically on demand. But kind of a benefit of that is, whoever wins it will have the option to customize. Like, if they want it with black brick, they could do it with black brick. If they want red brick, we could do red brick. If they want to do it in cartoon colors, we could, order that filament and do it in those colors. So it'll have some customization options for sure. So
Ectoglow Firehouse.
There you go. Then honestly, I was so stoked with the trio, the Shut It Off trio. So that's William Atherton, Joe Cirillo, and Larry Dilg. I was so stoked that we got that one because Larry Dilg basically only did a couple things in his acting career. He retired shortly after Ghostbusters and became a school teacher, which is really cool. And I really am very, very thankful that we were able to get him to agree to a very small signing. He ended up telling a really cool story as part of it, too. He mailed me a letter after the signing was done. And the whole thing where the Con Ed guy is like holding his helmet and his tool belt as he's running to catch up with them on the apparatus floor, that was because those parts of the costume did not fit him. And that was because they filmed the scene of all of them running out of the building in New York, running out of Ladder 8. They filmed that before they filmed the stuff in LA.
Gotcha.
And so the guy running out of Ladder 8 is not him. It's a different like body double guy. And so the costume fit that guy. And so the helmet was too small. And Larry explained that in the first take, the helmet fell off. He bent over to pick it up. And then all the tools were falling out of the belt and clanging and everybody was laughing. And so that's why he's holding on to it like that in the scene, but it actually makes the scene funnier.
That's hilarious. And so those are 11 by 17 prints you're doing with them, right?
Those are 11 by 14.
Oh, I'm sorry, 11 by 14. And how many of you are you doing?
We have 8 of those. Those will be auctioned, so people can bid on each one separately. And Larry has already signed them. Joe will sign them at the event. And then the containment unit, our friends there, Tom and Matt, have signing coming up with William Atherton, and they're going to hook us up with the signatures on those.
Yeah, they are going to do a big, they have a whole bunch of signings announced right now over at TCU Collectibles on Facebook for folks who may want to check that out. And William Atherton is among them. So when they get to see him out here on the West Coast at the end of the month in June, they'll be able to take that over there to him and he can sign it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, those 11 by 14 prints are awesome because, as you pointed out, like Larry Dilg doesn't sign. So if you end up getting that, like to have all 3 of the actors who were in the containment unit scene downstairs together on one piece is already amazing. But to get that particular actor who really doesn't sign and is one of the most coveted or hard to find autographs from Ghostbusters is pretty cool. Not going to lie. Like that's one of those things where I'm like, I want that in my iToya. I want that.
Yep. And then, the day after that, we followed it up with another trio signing where we had some prints left over of the real Ghostbusters, REE, real Ghostbusters. Chris Sorrentino, his absolutely amazing artwork that he did last year. That was the guys at the end of Afterlife, but in the RGB style. And we got those signed by Frank Welker, Dave Coulier, and Maurice LaMarche.
Amazing.
And we have 7 of those available that'll also be going for auction.
That's amazing. Like, I mean, and this is I love that print. Like, I love that he did the artwork on that and kind of redrew the characters as their RGB style, but when they see Ghost Egon in Afterlife. But like Chris's artwork is great, and he has, like, let's be real, like one of the best handles on the internet, because Extraplasm's cool, but Pizza Plasm is like the best name for something ever, I swear. I wish I'd thought of it, but but realistically, I think that Chris's art is great, and to have all 3 of those performers on one piece is also one of those things that, like, I don't think is that easy to achieve at this point. Like, I don't know when you run into all 3 of those actors at one place. Like, to be fair, I think that, you know, I had the opportunity and the luck of being at FanFest when was probably the last time that all 3 of those people were supposed to be there together. And then Frank Welker wasn't able to make it. And so I ended up getting my Maurice LaMarche and my Dave Coulier that day, but I still don't have a Frank Welker because I haven't seen him since. And as they do fewer and fewer cons, as they sort of get older and they're not doing as much work moving forward, like, I think it's hard to pick them up, all 3 of them. Can you pick up Maurice LaMarche kind of easily because he does a lot of cons still? Probably, but like that Frank Welker signature is getting a lot harder to pull off. So
Frank Welker's a tough one. But they were all awesome to work with. They were all very agreeable and excited to help with the project. We really tried to get Arsenio. We just couldn't get him to get all 4, but still, like you said, the 3 of them is fantastic. And Chris has another great print planned for this year, so that'll definitely be another thing for fans to keep an eye out for. The finalized artwork hasn't been revealed yet. He's been throwing some teasers out, but the finalized artwork, I've seen it, and it's fantastic. And so I'm excited for fans to get a look at that. Okay, so now we get into the nebulous world here, where we're recording on Monday, but this releases on Wednesday. So today we just revealed the HasLab Proton Pack raffle. I mean, that's huge that we were able to get our hands on one of those. And then that actually has runner-up prizes. So the main prize is the pack with a Spengler wand. And then the runner-up prizes, there will be 2 runner-up prizes, each one winning a 1984 wand.
Gotcha.
So that's pretty cool too. And I know, there's plenty of people looking for packs still. I know the secondary market has really gone kind of crazy on those, as some of these out of print collectibles tend to do. So
it's kind of crazy how that suddenly finally happened when that movie came out, isn't it? Like, I think that a lot of those sat around like the same price for a while, and they didn't really fluctuate. And to, like, I would talk with you about this, like, to sell one on eBay meant you had to charge, just to break even, you'd have to charge like $700 to break even on the $500 or $600 Proton Pack after fees and taxes and whatever. And then, like, the movie happened, and it was like all of a sudden, like, whoop, oh, what do you know? The inventory suddenly shrank as the demand went up for people who wanted Proton Packs. And that market is suddenly like twisted and become a lot more expensive. Yeah, it's really strange.
Absolutely. And then tomorrow's announcement, which is now yesterday's announcement for the podcast listeners. So Tuesday's announcement is a really cool one. Again, we got some help from the containment unit and some friends at Sony and stuff like that. But so we have a full-size teaser poster of Frozen Empire that we're calling the Spengler family poster. So it is signed by McKenna Grace, Carrie Coon, and Paul Rudd. We're working on trying to get Finn. We don't know if it's going to happen before the auction closes, so it's not guaranteed at this point. But even still, that's an awesome item for those 3. And Finn's doing cons, so if we're unable to get it, I'm sure somebody will be able to complete it on their own. And each one of them actually signed with a cool specific quote for this Spengler family poster. So that's
nice. That's awesome.
And then the final 2 raffles and auctions, there's one of each. We have some really, really incredible and unique items that Ghost Corps donated that will be announced on Wednesday and Thursday. And then all of the auctions and raffles will open on Saturday. We'll have a nice little FAQ post on Friday so that people can, kind of cover whatever their questions might be about how the raffles and auctions are going to work. These are some really exciting things that people are hopefully saving their money for, because we're going to raise a lot of money with the stuff that we have coming.
And once again, that is BuffaloGhostbusters.com.
He's just here to drop in the sponsor.
That's what you're here to do now. You're like, remember, folks, call this lot number now. Go to BuffaloGhostbusters.com. You can get in now on an exclusive opportunity to win amazing Ghostbusters prizes. Yeah, I think that what you're doing is, of course, like amazing, and all the stuff you have on offer is outstanding, and any of it is something the person would want to put in their collection. I really love the fact that, like, the way you're running these, for anyone who's wondering, like, where does my donation go and how do I know where it's going? Everything you're doing is through Better World, right? Which is like a donation platform that people can access. And like, one of those things that I always want to remind people is, like, you're one of the organizations too that managed to jump through the hurdles to be a 501c3. You get to be like, correct, we can take your money and you can get a tax donation for it, perhaps. Like, talk to your accountant. I'm not one.
Yes, me either. I don't know how it works, but I'm told you can do it.
I don't know about the price of acetylsalicylic acid versus brand, and I don't know about the price of Nova Scotia salmon, but I do know that you might be able to talk to your accountant about deducting things from your taxes if you donate for this reason. So
I just know I'm in the wrong tax bracket for that.
Wait, no, there's no wrong tax brackets for being charitable. Stop undercutting yourself. Every tax bracket requires charity now. You can deduct things. It's fine. You may not be itemizing all your deductions is a different question. Then it might not help you. Then you want to talk to your accountant and be like, well, I donated this money. And your accountant's like, that's nice. Do you own a house? No. Well, then you're probably taking the standard deductions. Who cares? But like, but realistically, like, it doesn't matter what, even if you don't go and support one of these things, like, I think that the opportunity for folks to engage in like small acts of donation is so important in something like this, whether it's just like the small opportunity to buy a raffle ticket, for something that you're going to be raffling off through Better World, or whether it's something where you donate $10 because you just think it's a good thing to do to help out firefighters. Like, all of those little micro donations have such a huge impact in terms of the overall larger sum. And I think that's something like we've learned as a result of crowdfunding over the last like 10, 15 years in political and social movement engagement. It's just like, for sure, that all of those little pieces and people contributing together is really what makes these kinds of things work. If it wasn't, then it would just be like one major corporation that owns the IP that we all love would come along and be like, huzzah, here is our massive corporate donation. And that's not how it really works,
In that vein, though, like, 2 years ago, we had the cast signed Afterlife poster, which brought in a ton of money.
Yeah.
That we raffled, and the person who won it only bought one ticket. Like, you only have to buy one. You never know what's going to happen.
I believe the slogan that I grew up around and that is very familiar to the two of you is likely, all you need is $1 and a dream.
There you go.
New York Lotto, everybody. It's never left me. I'll never love the lottery system more than the New York Lotto, for no good reason other than it's the one I grew up with and I have nostalgia for it.
It's really confusing now that it's $2.
Is it really?
You need $2 and a dream.
Did they change the slogan?
I don't know.
I think they killed the slogan eventually. So I do have another sales pitch for you guys. Instead of going to BuffaloGhostbusters.com, if you'd like to visit our 501c website, it's BuffaloGhostbusters.org.
Whoa. You have a top level domain? That's crazy.
We have both.
I love this. I'm like, that's it. We're closing up shop on the .com. We're now a .org. I mean, if they go to .com, it directs you to the same page, doesn't it?
I actually have them separated right now to make it easier to find the links for Ghostbusters Day.
Got it.
Yep. Eventually we'll merge them, but I want to make it as easy as possible for Ghostbusters Day.
Yeah, I had just been directing people to BuffaloGhostbusters.com because it took people to the link tree, which then, I think Linktree is the funniest concept for anybody who's marketing anything, because it's like, back in the day, we would have been like, GeoCities web pages, those are crap. Now everybody makes things and they're like, I'm going to go get myself what is functionally a GeoCities page that just links to all my stuff. Links. Right? Like, that's all it is. But it is very effective.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one other thing we should talk about real quick is something I've been teasing over the last couple weeks. You have a patch for the event, which I believe by the time people hear this, the pre-orders and the ordering for that will have closed up. So
yeah, they'll be done.
If you missed out, you missed out. But it's not your only opportunity to get the cool patch logo, because the t-shirt is still over in your TeePublic store.
Yes. Which, by the way, first of all, it's already by far the best-selling t-shirt of these Ghostbusters Day designs that we've had. Same, both the patch and the t-shirt. These numbers are blowing previous years out of the water. And also huge hat tip. He's kind of the unsung hero of design work for us, but these patches and the t-shirts, all of them every year so far have been designed by Eric Christensen of the Moogly Fan Club. And Generic Crystal Designs. And that dude is an absolute rock star. I mean, the designs are just fantastic. He and I talk all the time and bounce ideas off each other. And the Slimed 40, variant of our Ghostbusters Day logo that he created is just awesome. And I'm thrilled that people love it. But yeah, so the patches are done, but it is available on TeePublic. We even did a Frozen Empire parka version where it's, just a blacked out logo on a red shirt. So fans could order either one. It's, available on hoodies, t-shirts, kids shirts, whatever you need. And TeePublic will ship them right to you, which is great because then I don't have to do it.
If you are ordering from TeePublic, remember there is a lead time. So if you want it for Ghostbusters Day, don't order it the day before. You definitely want to give them at least a couple of weeks to get it to you.
Yeah.
So order it while you're listening to this podcast.
Yes. Push pause right now. Go to teepublic.com, search for Buffalo Ghostbusters, and go buy your shirt. I did think it was cool that you did the variant for Frozen Empire. And when I first saw that you put the shirts up, I talked about this in the headline segment on the podcast, that I was like, there's 2 different shirts. There's a variant you can get, which I like. I do think that's very cool. And I think it's also awesome to remind people that you have all the Ghostbusters Day shirts up there. So if you didn't get one from a previous year, or if you're like me and you destroy TeePublic shirts and they fall apart because you wear them to pieces and then you go, I really wish I still had that shirt. You can go get another one. It's pretty cool.
Just go order another one. I do it all the time too, because I wear the hell out of my TeePublic shirts.
Yeah.
They're good quality, but I just wear them a lot.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't get any plugs. There's no money I get from TeePublic, but I will say that if you're buying a TeePublic shirt, I find that the upgrade to their heavier shirt is actually totally worth it. It's a better shirt, and the design clings better to the style of threads they're using. They're using Gildan Hammer shirts, I think. And I've just found that my most recent ones I got that were on heavier t-shirts were a lot nicer than the ones I've had before. So that's my recommendation. Nobody's telling you need to go do that, but if you're going to buy shirts, buy heavy duty ones, because heavy duty everything is better.
I like it.
I second that recommendation.
Thank you. The motion passes. Everyone go buy a shirt and make sure you buy the heavy duty version of it. The podcast is now running on parliamentary procedure. So getting into the day itself, what time do things kick off down at the Firehouse for Ghostbusters Day?
So the event will start at 12. We're really asking fans to please not show up before 11:30, just to give us time to get everything set up. Those caddies are big cars and they're difficult to park. It's a lot more difficult when there's a lot of fans standing in the street while we try to maneuver them. It was a little bit of a nightmare last year trying to get them parked. So if everybody could please try to, hold off until 11:30, you'll definitely still have plenty of time to get to do everything. The walking tour does leave at 2:00, but that's obviously optional. People aren't required to do that. It is going to be a lot of fun. Burnsley did it last year.
I'm going.
Yep. The main event is 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. at the Firehouse.
My plan is to go on the walking tour and then just to hijack it from Ryan So as he tries to run it and host it, I'm just going to jump in and be like, welcome to Extraplasm Podcast. It's the only podcast that walks through New York City with a group of Ghostbusters fans. And they'll be like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm taking over your entire walking tour. And I'm like, that's something you should stop doing right now. And I'm not really going to do this, Ryan, if you're listening. I just want to have an imaginary dream where I podcast on the go in New York City for some reason. But yeah, no, the walking tour sounds awesome. I'm actually really excited.
Yeah.
Bernsey, what was your favorite part about the walking tour last year?
Honestly, the getting on the subway with 100 other fans all at once, with most of us having HasLab packs on, was an experience.
Yeah, I imagine see, that's the thing where the MTA worker in the subway station is like, what is going on? Like, what the hell? What is happening in my subway? What are you going downstairs to go bust? What's happening?
He has seen shit that'll turn you white.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, that's a lot of pneumatic transit to have to cover. That's why there's so many people going. But that's actually a really funny thing to consider, is the number of people who do that walking tour, which was not the case for the premiere, right? I don't think the premiere was like, there was a walking tour, but I don't think there were as many people who came in with their gear, because they knew they were going to the premiere, and you weren't able to take your gear to the premiere anyway. So it was like a lot of people came in flight suits and they carried smaller gear like PKE meters and what have you. But like, you didn't see a ton of proton packs down at the firehouse on like the Wednesday before the premiere or Thursday before. Right. There were some, like there were a lot of people who had them who were local, but a lot of folks left them at home. So I think a lot more people coming out to your event for this, like, live within driving distance. And so the number of people walking around in full gear, I imagine, is going to be far greater. Right. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Everybody piling into the subway. I'm excited about it because, if nothing else, like, I get to walk around New York City, be with a bunch of Ghostbusters fans and see a bunch of cool sights. But like, also, that's a thing that's being run by accredited New York tour guides. Like, it's a difference between like,
that's,
and it's a really cool, important thing to shout out. Like, it's why I'll never actually steal the tour from Ryan, because like, Ryan is an accredited NYC tour guide who helps to put this thing together and figure out where to go and the most efficient ways to do it. And so it's not just like, hey, get with a bunch of Ghostbusters fans and follow them around everywhere and hope you get to see some stuff, but rather like, it's an organized thing that somebody who's familiar and has real experience running tours in the city is putting together. And so it's really amazing.
And some more of their members recently got certified as well. So there's multiple New York City Ghostbusters that are certified New York City tour guides now.
That's crazy. Like, to me, it's like so wild that it's like, what does your franchise specialize in? We give tours. We're certified by the city. We're agents of the city of New York. We're duly appointed and have licenses. It's kind of funny.
Yep.
Bernsey, where are some of the places that you went on the walking tour last year?
On the walking tour, some of the ones that I remember are the Museum of the Native American, which is the art museum in Ghostbusters 2. We went to Tavern on the Green, Central Park, 55 Central Park West, and just did a whole tour of like a lot of the ending scenes. One of the cool things that... Oh, yes, the library. Yep. One of the cool things that Ryan explained during the tour is that the geography in the film is actually the real life geography. They didn't twist things around like most movies do. Somebody's uptown, it takes a minute and a half to get the other end of town. They kept the real life geography, so when Stay Puft is walking down the street, it's right in front of the buildings it should be.
Right.
And, towards Central Park, right across the street, is the big street that Stay Puft is walking down. So
nice. He approaches Columbus Circle.
Yep. I highly recommend taking the tour. It was really cool seeing all that in perspective.
And the cool thing about that is that there's a nominal fee to do it. So it's something that, like, if you're going to do that tour, it's something that you're going to pay to do at a donation level. Like, it's not something where somebody's going to beat you over the head and be like, get a ticket and get in line or you're not allowed to go. But like, it's an opportunity to help out the NYC Ghostbusters, right?
So the tour is free, but donations are accepted towards Trinity Place Shelter to help out the New York City Ghostbusters and their chosen charity.
Nice. Yeah, which, since they're running the tour, that totally makes sense.
100%.
And look, Ryan knows where good pizza is. That's the other thing to know about.
Yes, he does.
Because he was like, that was one of his key features of his premiere tour, was that it was a walking tour of Ghostbusters locations, but it was also a walking tour of pizza. And I was like, dude,
Which is fantastic.
I didn't get to go on it because I had to go meet up with Jason to be on the carpet. So I had didn't have time to get from the walking tour to that. And I had to kind of forego it. But lo and behold, Ryan Espen showed up at the firehouse and he brought me pizza. He just showed up and was like, walking tour is over, but I brought you pizza. I was like, you're amazing. You're a wonderful human being. How could you ever not like a person who shows up and thinks of you and brings you pizza? Yep. Yeah, I'm really excited to take the tour. I'll be honest. I know some of those locations. I've been to some of them before, but like the notion of going there with a whole bunch of people who are all celebrating the same thing and who have like the same kind of nerdy level of invested reason to be there is a thing I actually am really excited about. Like it's kind of goofy, but I like the idea that like, you know, several dozen of us or 100 of us will get really excited about going to a museum, not because we're going to go inside and look at a lot of the artwork, but instead because we're going to be like, oh, look, this is the part where the bricks are stained pink from the slime. Like that's been there for decades.
This is a manhole cover that Ray and Winston came out of and almost fought.
Yeah. It's not going to be the one that they were drilling in the middle of, though, in the middle of the street, though,
No.
because that's actually
That's in
here
LA.
in LA. But yeah, it's like downtown on 6th Street or something, I think.
Yep.
One of the most obvious sudden location changes in that movie when you're like, we are not in New York for this scene. We're definitely have changed locations. One thing we have not circled back to, which I'm kind of surprised that I've forgotten about until this moment, is the last time you were on, we announced your cards, your playing cards that you were having come out for the 40th anniversary. And you actually had no Facebook page because Meta had come for you and was like, there will no longer be a Buffalo Ghostbusters. And so like, apparently Meta is now voiced by Shredder. I don't know. Tonight I dine on buffalo soup. But you all came on and ended up announcing who were the participating franchises in your playing card decks. And then you had some of those at the premiere. You were giving them out to some of the folks who were in the movie and whatnot. And now they're like widely available. Like you can just go get them, right?
Yep. They're available on adventuregamesource.com. Bernsey, hit them with the sponsor.
There's a direct link at buffaloghostbusters.com. You can get them today.
Attaboy.
Look, they can't see you if you double finger guns at the camera on the audio podcast. I have to tell them while Bernsey did that, he gave you double finger guns to tell you that you got to go to adventuregamesource.com. That was what you said, right? What was it?
Or buffaloghostbusters.com.
Okay. And then you finger gun them again. That's great. These playing card decks are really awesome. They feature the various franchises from around the world. Originally I was like, oh, around the country. And then I realized that, like, we had to figure out how to say things from, or you didn't. You stiffed me with having to say things from Ghostbusters
we gave
Italia.
you all the bad ones.
Yeah, you gave me all the difficult ones. And then I had to look stupid and it was fine, but it's okay. All those people were in different countries. They didn't come to the premiere, and then I didn't have to apologize to them. If you're listening in a different country and I fucked up your name, I'm sorry. But like the reality is that those cards are out. The decks are really awesome. I talked about this when you were putting them out. Like, I think everybody should have one in their flight suit pockets because it's just like a thing to pull out at an event and be like, let's do some games or let's do whatever. And if nothing else, they're a cool directory of all the people who are you're friends with who have fan franchises and are doing important charitable work. So they're really cool. But yeah.
Yep. We've had a lot of people ask if we're going to have them at the event. I don't think we're going to be able to make that happen just because we have a lot of other cool stuff going on that fans are going to need to buy, and we don't have a spot to put these. If I can say that in a less cryptic way.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's right. You're like, there will be things for you to buy, and I'm like, oh, they're selling replicas of the firehouse that are exact 1-to-1 scale that were built by Luke Whitelock. Is that what's happening?
Damn it, Bethany, he guessed it.
They're going along with the 1-to-1 ectos that we're selling.
Yes.
That's why there's 5 of them there. You haven't told anybody yet. Like, this, just so you know, it's the new Ecto dealership. It's what's happening outside the firehouse. We're running a Turo. People are going to rent them from us and go away and just leave. No, I don't think that's what's happening. But You do have all these great things going on. And if you want to get those cards, go get them off the website, because there's only so many things that you can actually put at the firehouse before you start to run out of room for people and ectos. So it makes sense. But yeah. I've got to get those still for sure. I still don't have playing cards, so I got to get those. I got to get a t-shirt. I have a whole list of things I need to get myself, but I'm going to get
it. I don't recall if we talked about it when we were on with the winners, but everybody had been curious what we were doing with the Joker cards, and those actually are sponsor cards in the deck.
That's right.
So huge thank you to Ghostbusters News, GB Fans, Yes Have Some, the Moogly Fan Club, and the Shrek Family Ghostbusters Collection, because they all contributed to help us with production costs to get the thing off the ground, which was great, and we're very thankful to them. So they didn't even know that, actually. We told them that they would be included on the rules sheet as a thank you, but we kept the bigger thank you a secret, which was that they are actually in the deck as well on the sponsor cards.
Right on.
And also a huge thank you once again in terms of design work, because Eric Christensen designed the back of the card and the box for the cards and the rule sheet and everything. He, again, rock star with his design work, and we can't do this event without him. He's a huge part of this.
Yeah, he's amazing, and does outstanding stuff with Moogly Fan Club. And I mean, it's just another example of like how all the folks who are good creative people who like to support good charity work come together and create awesome projects. And I think that's like my favorite thing about everything you're doing is it's so super collaborative. Like everything that you end up creating for this event and everything you have on offer is something that folks have collaborated from the fandom to contribute. It's not stuff that's like being given to you as donation on high. And that's not to put down on like, oh, if you get corporate donations, you're bad. I just mean like everything that you're talking about is stuff that gets generated by the fandom, by folks who love this franchise and love the IP of Ghostbusters and the storytelling and the characters. And it's so cool to see that all kind of work together into this giant charity effort that just grows and grows and grows and grows. It's great. My favorite thing about it.
And I mean, that's the slogan that's on the card decks, is 40 years, 50 plus franchises, one community coming together.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
So I love that. Eric again came up with that, and that's it. But it really describes the whole thing perfectly.
In addition to all of this, these cards are also made by a small business that when we first started talking with them, were literally out of their garage. So not only are we helping and helping the community as Ghostbusters fans, we're even helping the small guy. This isn't some mega corp that we're getting cards through.
I'm going to need to get a set of these cards ASAP, because I just realized that if I do, then I can run 3-card Monty games on the side of the firehouse. And I can be like, find the West Midlands Ghostbusters. You know what I mean? And like, find the Ohio Ghostbusters. I can't remember who's in the deck. If I'm naming people who are not in the deck, I'm sorry.
You probably are, but
yeah, like that'll be my whole shtick. But don't worry if you lose money to me as I run my illegal 3-card Monty on the side of the firehouse. All proceeds will go to the Tunnel of the Towers Foundation.
There you go.
From all of my illegal gambling, I will donate all of the proceeds to a nonprofit, and that will make it okay. You can find
with
me
the NYPD right across the street. Good luck telling them that.
Yeah, look, you can find me in the subway station that's decorated like a pneumatic train station full of slime. Just come by there. That's where I'm going to be. Okay. But for real, I do mean this. If you see me at the event, you two will see me at the event. So I'm not really telling you this. I'm like, hey, if you see me, say hi. You're like, oh, cool. He had us on the podcast, and also we get to say hi to him in person. What a privilege. But I mean, like, if you're at the event, say hello, because like I'm excited to be there for it. Out of the things that you have on offer, what are you each most excited about?
Okay, so of the stuff that's already been revealed, my honest favorite is the RGB print with the 3 of them on it. That's definitely my favorite of what's been revealed, but my favorite thing overall has not been revealed.
My favorite thing is going to be revealed on Wednesday. So check out our Facebook page the day this drops.
So my understanding is that's the day that you're going to release your collection of Chef Boyardee Real Ghostbusters pasta cans. That's what's happening Wednesday. This is what I do now. People come on the podcast like, I have a thing I can't announce yet. I'm like, I just fill in the blank. I just make up what it is. You know,
You're
so I'm like,
fine. If you won't say it, I will.
Dan, at least he didn't guess the garden gnomes that were handmade by Bill Murray.
And look, if they are mini puffed garden gnomes, I had that idea first.
You did.
You did.
Well, you can't announce what's your most favorite things. So I could ask you, like, what's your least favorite thing? What do you hate most of what you're doing? But that seems like a stupid question. I personally have to say that I'm excited about seeing people and knowing who's coming out to the event. And that was my favorite part about the premiere, honestly. Like, yeah, it was cool. We got to see the movie. It was cool. I got to be on the carpet. But the fact that I got to see so many people who are big fans of the franchise and who are people in the community was so cool. And that to me is probably like the most important thing to me about what's going to be there. That being said, like, I'm going to love seeing the Ecto-1NJ. I'm really hopeful that the Illinois Ecto-1A that Greg, the Ecto Tech, is sort of like working feverishly away on, probably right now as he listens to this. Is,
Probably.
you know, probably. He'll probably like, yeah, I was listening to that when you said that. But like, I hope that's all done, because it would, like, to be real, if there's an Ecto-1 and an Ecto-1A parked next to each other, the franchise's fandom is going to erupt. Like, everyone who's said for years that they were two separate cars is suddenly going to have like a valid moment.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that's going to make it canon.
Yep. Even if it doesn't, it does.
Hey, no, I'll say it. Your event, as far as I'm concerned, should be canon. Like, I actually want in the next Ghostbusters movie, just like they put the Kenner stuff in the movie, and like they had Crystal Head vodkas inside of Raise a Cult, so now Crystal Head vodka is apparently canon. I want there to be like, it's Ghostbusters Day outside the firehouse, and like all of these different fans come out and they're doing charity events and shit, and they have to like ask them to move out of the way so the Ecto-1 can drive out. Like, come on, like that would be amazing. And then like you also get cameos. That's how that should work. Why not?
Sign me up.
Yeah, I will. I'll sign you up. Also sign me up. I'll come out. I'll be like,
you're
on the scene
now
podcaster.
A Buffalo Ghostbuster. You're part of it.
Well, even if I'm not, I'll be an on the scene podcaster. I appreciate that. I'll just be like, yes, I get a chicken wing on my arm now. But like, I mean, for real, I am excited to be out there and to be able to bring this story to people firsthand too. Like, I think it's going to be really great to see you all, and it's going to be great to be at the event. But like, one of the challenges I think that you all have during the event, and this is by no means a judgment, is that you're trying to run the event while also share the event, right? So it's like,
yes,
how much can you actually film of what you're trying to get done? And so great folks who've come out in the past who will be there again, I'm sure, like Ghost Beacon, like comes out and like shoots lots of footage and captures those moments. And so to me, like to be able to be on hand to help to do that and to bring that story to folks is probably like the most exciting part about this, is seeing people and being able to sort of tell a lot of the story of your event. And without question, like the biggest version of this event that you've ever done. Like, it's going to be hard to top the 40th with the 41st.
Oh, we're not going to. I'll settle it right now for everybody. The 41st is going to be a step down.
The 41st will have taken place only to Chuck E. Cheese. We're going to get a big Mylar printout of the firehouse and shove it on the wall. But there'll be unlimited pizza and tokens. Beyond the event itself during the day, one of the things we talked about the last time you were on is sort of the fun that happens in the aftermath of the day, once everybody crosses back through the Holland Tunnel and leaves the city of New York and enters the Garden State. What's going on for you all this year down at the hotel afterwards?
So we have a group that's staying at the Holland Hotel. We announced that back in, I want to say January. It might have been February, but it sold out, pretty early. It was sold out by like March or April. I think a couple people have canceled their rooms this week. So if people want to call and double check, I think the rate is available until this Friday. So they could always call and check for last minute availability. But last year, it was a blast last year staying at that hotel, and we only had 15 rooms booked under our group rate. This year, I believe we have 50 rooms booked under the group rate out of 71 rooms. So we're going to be scaring the straights. Like, there's going to be people that are just...
Whoever else is staying at the hotel is going to be like, what the fuck is happening?
Yep.
What did I sign up for?
But so, I mean, that's got to equate to over 100 Ghostbusters fans staying at that hotel, which is just going to be super fun for everybody to hang out and talk to people they've maybe never met before, people they've only met online, fans from around the world. That's the craziest thing about this to me, is that people travel in for this from around the world.
Yeah.
Like, literally. We have Natalie from Answer the Second Call. She's coming in again from Australia for this.
Right.
Like, that's nuts to me. That's around the world.
Yeah. That's like a solid 18-hour flight from like Sydney to New York,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would not be shocked to see Der Geigermeister there again, the German group.
Yep.
I hope I pronounced that right.
No, it's okay. It's I don't think it's Die Jagermeister. I think you're thinking of Jägermeister, which is a liquor. I think the thing you're trying to say is Die Geisterjäger. But
there we go.
But I kind of like now I want there to be like Die Geistermeister. Like, that's what I want it to really be, like Die Geistermeister. Like, that's the new thing we're going to call it, even though it's not what it is. Those of you in Germany listening to the podcast right now, wanting to throw things, I'm sorry, and we love you. You built the most amazing stuff, and I hope you're coming, because it was cool to meet you guys outside the firehouse back at the premiere. It was very fun. And fun fact, if you've seen their video of Gil signing their Garaka orb that they made, I shot that video. That's
nice.
I was on my phone. I was standing next to them when Gil showed up out of the blue, out of nowhere, and everybody was like, "Oh my god, it's Gil Cannon!" And out came the phones. But yeah, I had my little moment with Die Geisterjäger at the last time I was at the firehouse, and they were very chill people and very cool, like nice folks. So yeah, the international community coming out, totally cool, and the fact that that's like going to be a sort of international Ghostbuster gathering as a de facto thing at the hotel is pretty awesome. I got to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm going to stay in Jersey, but now I'm like, maybe I'll just come drive over there, hang out, and then drive away. Like,
park at the Burger King next door and come hang out.
I think you'll blend in.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll go over there. I'll get myself a veggie Whopper, and they'll be like, "Are you a customer?" I'm like, "Yep." And then I'll just walk across over to you guys, and
there you go.
Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, no, that's great. I mean, it's cool because it's like you're going to have the day in the city. You have the opportunity to do Ghostbusters things with Ghostbusters fans. And then you have the time to sort of like, cut loose. And that's something I feel like at the premiere, this weird thing happened where it was like we all watched the movie. We all came out of the AMC. And then it was like, bye. It
was like, okay, see ya.
Yeah, it was like all of a sudden this mass exodus happened where everybody who'd been together all day long at the firehouse and then in fan pens and other stuff just kind of went poop and just separated out into different factions, such that I ended up at Junior's for cheesecake at 11:30 at night with JD Raymer. I was like, where is everybody? I don't know. So that debrief is kind of cool. The opportunity to kind of really just not like cut loose, like we're going to party, but I mean, just to relax and kind of,
I'm going to party.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can party. That's fine. But I guess what I'm saying is you can be quitting time Ray, like you can.
Yeah. But what's cool about it too, is with that big patio, like people can come and go, right? They can just go back to their room. And if they get, if their social battery is drained, they can just go back to their room and chill and come back out if they decide they want to come back out or whatever. If anybody needs to change out of their flight suit or whatever, it's all just right there. So it's just a nice place to chill for all of us. So
nice.
The nice thing is there's a gas station literally right next door too. If people need drinks or anything, super convenient.
Yeah.
And it's not New York City prices for everything.
Or if you just want to get
New
gas.
Jersey prices.
Yeah, which means that you can go get your own soda, but you cannot pump your own gas there. It's not allowed.
Exactly.
If you go there for gas, you cannot get out of there and pump your own gas because some group of Jersey Teamsters was like, listen, you got to be authorized in order to use the gas pumps. If you're not authorized, you could cause a problem. You might cause them to explode. It's not all right. It's not acceptable. If you'd like to pump gas, you're going to have to go back over the border and do it yourself. Otherwise, you're going to get Tony here. He's going to come out and he's going to pump the gas for you. But listen, he'll check the air and the tires for you. He'll check your oil, whatever you need. Just ask him. He'll do it. I don't know what that was.
Well done.
That was Jersey Mike. Suppose folks are out there right now. They want to find out more about how the event works, where to be, where they get more information.
They can get more information at buffaloghostbusters.com or our 501c page, buffaloghostbusters.org.
But yeah, we do have an FAQ on our Facebook page that kind of covers the most frequently asked questions that we get, about arrival times, parking, things like that. So that's definitely a good resource on our Facebook page for people.
Can I offer a piece of advice there?
Yeah.
If you are looking for advice about parking, here's your advice. Don't. Leave your car at a train station and ride the train to where you're going, and don't bring a car into New York City at all.
Definitely agreed and encouraged. The subway is not, the PATH train is not far from the hotel. It's about a 10-minute walk. But there are, obviously a million other train stations and stuff that people can park at and take the train in. That really is going to be an easy option for you as opposed to parking. Parking or Ubering in is going to carry a much higher expense. Particularly if you have a fan ecto with a roof rack, your parking options are going to be a lot more limited because a lot of them won't fit into parking garages. So you got to look for open air lots.
Right.
If you are looking for parking, we recommend the Spot Hero app, because you can reserve parking ahead of time and stuff like that. So that's
that thing's awesome.
Option. Yeah.
I love that thing.
Yeah.
But you will also pay for parking in New York.
Yes, you will.
Which will be like...
And an Ecto is an oversized vehicle.
Right.
I don't care if it's a sedan. They're still going to charge you as an oversized vehicle if you have a roof rack on it.
Right. And so my advice, my personal, as a former New Yorker advice about going into New York City is never bring a car. Just leave your car at a train station right outside the city and then take the train in. The other thing you could do is take the ferry. I learned that from our mutual friend, Mr. Taylor Toys, who took the ferry in and out of the city for the premiere. And
there you go.
I was not aware that you could do that from I think it's like 28th Street or something, or 23rd Street. I can't remember, but yeah, 28th, I think. But yeah, you can grab the ferries in from Jersey. If you're coming from Long Island side, you can take the LIRR in and then take the subway down to the firehouse. So plenty of reasons not to take a car is my advice. But if you need other questions answered that I know nothing about, that's what that FAQ is for. Because I don't know anything about anything else. I just know about how to get in the city. That's about it. Well, we've covered a lot you have going on. I'm excited to see all of it. I'm going to try and take all of it in. I'm going to fill my entire life with every single aspect of this. I'm going to put on 2 TeePublic t-shirts over a flight suit, put on a parka, probably die of heat stroke in June in New York City. No, I'm not going to do any of those things. That's my other piece of advice is leave your parka at home. It's going to be June.
Don't wear a parka.
Don't wear your parka. You'll die. This was the exact event where I was like, don't all show up in mass in parkas and then create a heat casualty event. Because even though you will be outside of a firehouse and even though everybody inside is probably a trained EMT, they're not really there to take care of you. They're there to take care of the rest of the city.
Yes.
Wuxie won't like the bad PR of hundreds of you guys cooking to death.
It will make a really good podcast story. I won't lie. If I have to do the big, the breaking news, hundreds of Ghostbusters fans collapse under the weight and stress and heat of jackets designed for Antarctica that they were too stupid to leave at home. That'll be a great podcast story, but
people are going to start to think that it's like a cult mass suicide attempt. Rather than Kool-Aid, we're all wearing parkas in June.
Why are all these people in parkas and flight suits and black boots? What did they join? Like, well, I guess the question I want to ask you to leave you with is, this, it's the 40th and you are running an amazing event that everybody should come out to if they can. And I'm going to go to, but leaving that event aside for a minute, like take all your responsibility off the table, take all the stress of running an event off the table. What do you want for the 40th? Like, if you could look at Ghostbusters Santa Claus, if that's a thing, it should be. My God, why isn't it? But I digress. But if you could go to like the Santa Claus of Ghostbusting and you could ask for like the one thing that you could get for the 40th anniversary, like your absolute thing you'd be most hopeful for, what is it? What do you want for the 40th anniversary of Ghostbusters?
I want, for the 40th anniversary, I would love for Sony to announce Ghostbusters 5, The Search for More Money.
So that's pretty much where I'm at. Maybe a little bit more vague. I just want an update on the next project, whether that's the cartoon series or the next movie. I would like some more concrete info on that. And then just, I hope everybody who comes out to New York City has an absolute blast.
Yeah, I do too. Bernsey, I want to say that title in particular might be the one most likely to have a Rick Moranis in it. Given that
there you go.
Referencing another Rick Moranis movie.
That's the secret. That'll get him back.
Hey, he did reprise the role of Dark Helmet for episodes of the Goldbergs. As much as as much as everybody says Rick Moranis hasn't worked in years, he has worked very little as an actor, and it was that particular character. So I don't know, if you could figure out a Spaceballs Ghostbusters crossover, you might actually figure that out. Like, how do you get him back? But like, as much as I don't ever think they would ever call a movie The Search for More Money, unless it was a Spaceballs sequel, like I hope we get, I think similarly, I hope we get some announcements about what's coming next. And I imagine we will. I don't know if we're going to get an announcement. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get an announcement of another movie right away. Like, we just came off of this one. But I think, it's realistic to think that we should get some sort of update about the cartoon projects that we think were in the works, right? I think that's a thing. I think we're going to probably hear from Hasbro about some new things that may be happening beyond, what we know is already coming from the O-ring figures and what have you. So we're probably not going to get an update on the Mondo figures until SDCC, because that's when they told us to expect one, but who knows? Yeah. So, there's a lot of stuff I think that we could still hear about. And I think that what I keep hearing from everybody ask this question is, I find so funny. We're all Ghostbusters fans and it shows, because like, if I were to ask this question of a Marvel fan, like, what are you hoping for like this year? They'd be like, I'm hoping for 3 more Phase 2 movies or whatever. And like, also that like there's a video game, and like, we have reached the point where like, I'm hoping there's a thing I can support, and that like, I get to be like, continue the thing I love, and that'll be cool. And that's not to like put down on Ghostbusters. I just think that like, we have learned over time to be grateful for what we get. And I don't know if that sounds like, and I hope that doesn't sound negative, because I don't mean for it to, but it's like, when you look at the number of people who have been like passionate fans of the 2009 video game for so long, it's because so many of us were willing to accept that and be like, yep, that's what we're getting, and I'm happy to have it. Like, and it's kind of funny to me that like everybody I talk to, myself included, they're like, are you like hoping we're going to get like a teaser for a new trailer? And I'm like, no, like I'm hopeful I'm going to get like, hey, we're giving you an update on the things we already told you about. Here's some like concept art from this cartoon to give you an idea of what it's going to be like. And also like, we have ideas for another movie, and we're currently working to try and get that greenlit. Would even be like, cool. Like, I'm excited. I hope you do. Let me know when you do. I'm happy to be here and be on board for it. But it is kind of funny to me. Like, I think that if you were to ask the same question, like on May the 4th from Star Wars fans, and I'd be like, what do you hope? And they'd be like, well, I hope that we're getting rid of J.J. Abrams, and I hope we're doing this. And I hope they would have very specific demands.
I hope they're going to officially retcon the sequel series. And
yeah. Like, I hope that they're going to finally admit that even though they said that, the books were not canon, that since they stole so much from them anyway, they are in fact canon. Like, and I don't know. It's just weird. I don't get that sensation from so many Ghostbusters fans, as much as I do, like, I hope we all continue to have reasons to celebrate and to kind of have something to look at. And I would love to know what it is that's coming next. And I don't know if that means we're well trained as fans or, we're like not angry monkeys inside of our cage. We're like, no, give me bananas. but like,
I think we, for a lot of us, we went through a really long period where there was nothing. And so we're not necessarily just taking whatever they give us, but sort of like you said, we've learned to be appreciative for what we get.
I mean, think about how appreciative I am. I joined the Buffalo Ghostbusters early on in the pandemic. And since then, we've literally doubled the number of canon movies from when I started.
Yeah.
So in just 4 short years, we have 2 new Ghostbusters movies.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like what I thought was the weirdest thing coming out of Frozen Empire was this sort of like strange fan cultural like mourning thing that was happening in social media. It was like, well, the movie's over. We're probably not going to get another one. And it was like, why are we like doing this? Why is there this like sort of strange like fan like, oh, we got to cope with the fact that that's probably the last thing we're going to get. And it's like, why? Like everything's like going pretty well when you really get down to it. Like the video game continues to like have downloadable content coming for it. And like, we know there's this animated stuff coming. We know there's more comic book coming, so it's just like, I find it very strange, but I also have that same sense of reservation where I'm not like, I want this. And if I don't get it, I'll be let down, with one obvious exception, which is if I don't get a 112 Ecto 1 fairly soon, I may cry. But beyond that, like my Plasma series figures still need a place to ride. My Maddie collector figures still need one. The O-ring thing is cool, but it's not what I need. But like, I also don't expect it. Like, I don't expect that anybody's going to turn around and be like, yeah, we're making this thing. And if they did, if for Ghostbusters Day, they were like, we're doing the 112 Ecto 1 and you're going to be able to order it, I would be like, you've made my day. It would have me totally excited. But I think having like moderate expectations is a good thing. You know what I mean? It's just like, you can't really be too let down if you're wrong. And we don't really know where things go from here, but I think it's evident that our content creators still have stories to tell. They've told us they do, Absolutely. So I don't know. I'm hopeful we're going to get like a good look at what the stuff that's coming is, even if we don't get a brand new announcement of another movie. That being said, if they announce another movie, I'll probably go straight back into, oh my God, there's another movie coming mode. Because that's where I lived for the last like 18 months, and not being in it now is a very different feel. It's like,
yeah, no, agreed.
Well, anything else you want to throw out there for folks to know about? Anything else you want to sort of tag on the end here as we wrap up this episode of Extraplasm?
Just to wrap up, if anybody wants to visit the links for our auctions, raffles, straight up donations, buffaloghostbusters.com. There you'll find our Better World link, our T Public link, the card link, anything you need, buffaloghostbusters.com.
Anything you need. If you need a colander, buffaloghostbusters.com. If you need rubber stoppers, buffaloghostbusters.com. Scotch tape, they got that too. Like, it's all there. No, but I mean, for real, go over buffaloghostbusters.com and check out what's on offer that we've talked about today. Get yourself involved in auctions, get yourself involved in grabbing a t-shirt. You can't get a patch anymore, but maybe you buy a t-shirt and just cut the logo out, make your own patch because you're hardcore and punk rock. I don't know. Like, that's a thing I did when I was in high school. So I'm going to go do that now. I'm going to sell them as bootlegs outside the event. They're going to just be, I bet you're going to make money either way, because I'm going to buy T-Public shirts to do it. Just no one's getting ripped off, I swear. Dan, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Oh, yeah. No, and just everybody stay tuned, because there's still some more announcements yet to come out.
Yeah. If the podcast is coming out on Wednesday, but by the time we get there, you'll have announced something else. Or if not, you'll be announcing things with ours. So everybody should run back to buffaloghostbusters.com immediately after listening to this to go see what it was. That's the little like teaser there for you to make you go look at something, folks. That's called conversion. I'm converting you. If enough of you do it, then the podcast has a positive conversion rate. and that's good for everybody. So go be converted. Join the Buffalo Ghostbusters cult. Put on your red parka. Come down and sweat at the Sweat Lodge down at New York City. No, don't do that. Come to the Firehouse. Come have fun. Come hang out with us if you're in the area. And it's going to be a great time. Dan and Chris, I want to say thank you again for coming on the podcast and joining us this week. It's always fun to have you on the podcast. It's always great to have you here. And I'm so excited to see you very soon. Anything else that you want to leave as your last words for folks?
Be excellent to each other.
See you on June 8th.
And party on, dudes! That about wraps things up for Extraplasm this week. I want to say one final thank you to Dan and Chris for coming on the show this week and letting us know a bit about what's going to be happening in New York City for Ghostbusters Day. There are so many different ways that you can support the Tunnel to Towers Foundation and this event that the Buffalo Ghostbusters are coordinating with so many awesome groups from around the country. Head on over to buffaloghostbusters.com to take a look at any of the things we've talked about today, whether it's the raffles, the auctions, go over to TeePublic and check out a t-shirt, etc. There's so many different ways that you can support this, even if you can't come out to the event itself to be a part of the community. There's so many ways to get involved still, so make sure you're going and checking out everything they have on offer. I also want to say thank you as usual to Brendan Pearce of Badoochi Studios, who provides our logo, and whom without we wouldn't have a visual identity for the podcast. So Brendan, thank you, you're awesome. And I need to thank vaporwave artist MAGNAVOX, whose version of Ghostbusters serves as our theme song each week. And last but not least, I need to thank you for listening and tuning in each week. I also want to say that it's been nice to hear from several people since I kind of came public with what's happening with my family in the last couple weeks who have reached out and sent some really kind and thoughtful messages, and I'm really appreciative of those. So if you're one of those folks, your messages, even if I didn't get back to them right away, were not missed. They are something I really appreciated, but I might not have been in the headspace to reply to you in the moment. But I really appreciate the contact, and I always love hearing from folks listening to the show and hearing the things you have to say about what's going on in the show, what your thoughts are, etc. So if you have something to share with the podcast, and I'm ready to believe you do, reach out. Extraplasm on Instagram, Extraplasm on X, extraplasompodcast@gmail.com if you're into the email thing. And of course, you can find the podcast on Facebook and on YouTube by searching for Extraplasm Podcast. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in each week. Have a great rest of your week. We're almost 2 weeks away from the 40th anniversary of the thing we love more than anything else. So as we track there and we all get excited, remember what Ernie Hudson reminds us every single week.
Try to have fun and always keep on busting. Take care.